So, I wanted to make an extemporaneous review of Star Wars 9, The Last Skywalker, or The Rise of Skywalker. But before I start this review, I want to make this clear. I have not seen 8. When 8 or The Last Jedi came out, I refused to see it. It looks so bad. I've seen some long reviews on YouTube complaining about how deeply feminist it is, or the massive plot holes or inconsistencies with the previous movies, or the pure spite that Rian Johnson had towards the fandom. For instance, killing off Luke. It seems that Kathleen Kennedy, the overall producer at Disney of these new Star Wars films, or the director of the franchise essentially, gave Rian Johnson complete free reign to do whatever he want as long as it was feminist. That's what I get when people talk about that movie. And because of that, I haven't been interested in seeing that movie. For the original movie, for The Force Awakens or 7, I thought it was pretty disappointing. I would say it's about worse than The Phantom Menace. It just seemed like a regurgitated version of the original one that's completely unnecessary and makes the movie pointless. The original series. So I wasn't a big fan. I wasn't coming in to see this movie too excited. As far as The Mandalorian, I haven't seen that yet. I don't have Disney Plus. I never saw Solo, and I thought Rogue One was good. At least the second half of it was good, but it doesn't feel like a Star Wars movie. It just feels like a science fiction movie because there aren't like god, hero, demigod, powerful characters whose the entire lives of trillions or at least billions, tens of billions, millions, hundreds of billions of people. Their lives don't depend on just less than 20 people or less than 10 people. It's a very more realistic depiction of a universe or how the world really works. I did enjoy that movie, though. So anyway, going into this movie, as we know, Rian Johnson fucked everything up in 8. He killed off Luke out of pure spite, it seems like. He did all kinds of weird stuff. Did all this weird feminist stuff. He did Laura Dern with purple hair, like destroyed a whole fleet with one ship or something by skipping them across at light speed, which doesn't fit from my understanding of how light speed or whatever works in the Star Wars movies. And just all kinds of stupid shit. The love thing between the Finn character and the Rose character, which is gross. I mean, Asian girls can be cute. I mean, I guess that's pretty alt-right for me to say, but Rose is really, really gross. And it's just very gross and off-putting. I'm just going to be straight on racist there. That is gross to me. That whole thing is just gross. It's unwelcome, and it's weird. Her character was really awful, and she's been written out of this new movie, this Rise of Skywalker. And then, of course, Snoke was a big nothing burger. They just killed him just to kill him. And then, of course, the Rey character was made out to be a complete orphan, just a random abandoned orphan. And this movie goes back and tries to fix all those loose ends, tries to retcon a lot of that. But you can tell when they're making this movie, they're stuck with what Rian Johnson did. And I don't like J.J. Abrams, really. I didn't like the new Star Trek movies. I didn't like Super 8. I thought Super 8 was a very bad movie when I saw it. And of course I didn't like Force Awakens. But I will say I like this movie more than I like his other movies. But I feel bad for J.J. Abrams he got this movie, because this movie's a hobbled together mess. It really is. It's two movies put into one. It's two, maybe even three movies put into one. There is character development for Rey and for Kylo Ren. I think Rey and the set of characters have always been very boring, very unappealing. And when I watched The Force Awakens, everything when I watched that movie is centered around seeing the old characters come back. And it seems like that's what everybody wanted to see when I saw it in the movie theater. That being said, who do they have left? Ryan Johnson killed Luke. Harrison Ford doesn't want to do these movies anymore, so they killed him off in the first movie. You can't really have Darth Vader. That wouldn't make sense. That would kind of fuck up the entire movie. It would be so bizarre. It would be like fan fiction, but this kind of is fan fiction. Um, and Carrie Fisher died in real life, so you can't have Leia anymore. So who are you going to include? Lando Calrissian and the resurrected Palpatine. Yeah, Lando and Palpatine are now just as main characters as Rey and Finn are. Whatever, I can dig it. It works. Works for me. I mean, this movie's just a mess. It's a pretty big mess, but any Palpatine action is good. I like that Palpatine action. You know what I'm talking about. Give me some Palpatine. I like it. So, I mean, just by having Palpatine in it automatically becomes better than every single movie in the rest of the sequel trilogy. That being said, because of how much Ryan Johnson fucked up this series, and there's all kinds of things that are very, very clear. It's very clear that Rey is somehow supposed to be Luke's daughter. That is so fucking clear in this movie. And then the twist, of course, is just who the fuck cares? Everybody's gonna know as soon as I release that. It's leaked all over the place, okay? So the twist is that she's Palpatine's daughter, right? I mean, they had to make her somebody's daughter, or the entire theme of the series, the entire theme is centered around the Skywalker family and balancing them, right? The son saving the father if the father's corrupted, right? So you got to have some kind of familial connection in there. And I mean, they just kind of jerry-rig it in there. Because don't like J.J. Abrams as much as you want. He's fucked. He was fucked when he started making this movie. He's just got to jerry-rig a movie out of it. And you know what? Because it's so jerry-rigged, and because it's so wonky because of how jerry-rigged it accidentally becomes better than The Force Awakens. Because it is completely aware that it's not serious, that this isn't a real sequel, that this essentially is fan fiction. And it just feels like fan fiction. It feels like they shot a big-budget fan fiction thing. That these are like successor characters. Rey just is a Mary Sue. And whatever, like all the force powers become much more powerful than they are in the movies. From my understanding, in the video games, they're this powerful, or in some of the comic books, they can be this powerful. Everything becomes more powerful. So there's Star Destroyers. There's like 100 Star Destroyers that are as powerful as Death Stars, right? So everything's over powerful. There's all kinds of like wonky logic. Like she takes like this knife and is at a certain angle and discovers where an artifact is found that will help her, right? And just all kinds of wonky, non-logical things that people would put in a fan fiction. And because this really doesn't feel like a real movie to me. It doesn't feel like a real continuation. It is so bastardized at this point, it becomes enjoyable again because it's fully aware of how much of a fan fiction it is. And that, plus the Palpatine action, means I actually kind of enjoyed this. It was decent. Lando Calrissian, like it's a side story where Lando Calrissian has some friends and he blows up some like super OP Star Destroyers. That's how I see this movie. It's just some fan fiction somebody wrote with Lando Calrissian and a Mary Sue blowing up Star Destroyers, and there's some resurrected clone of Palpatine that's really OP. So I'm going to view it. All the novelizations and Dark Empire, those are the real sequels, okay? Legends is the real series. And this is some off-kilter fan fiction that Kathleen Kennedy paid people to do. That's my view of this series.